안녕하세요. So, my name is Shiv. Technically, my title is CIO. I'm not really sure what that means. I think we ran out of titles at Risc here, so the two co-founders took CEO, CTO, so they were like, I'm technical, so give me something. And they're not CFO as a CIO, Chief Information Officer, but I don't really do that. Chief Interruption Officer, I do interrupt everybody quite a lot with like things I want them to do. Chief Insomnia Officer, because there is a problem with sleep. I don't really do that. But what I do on a day-to-day basis is oversee product and engineering. My background actually is quite varied. I started my career in mobile, moved to SQL, worked at SQL Server at Microsoft. For a short period, I was a cybersecurity engineer. Then I moved into rideshare and Amazon, Lyft. I helped launch Coinbase in a bunch of countries, including Japan and India. Then I got BUIDL, moved to Ava Labs, the company behind the Avalanche chain. Then I realized like, oh, the actual answer to our problems is actually ZK, and I'm based in Seattle, and so is Risc Hero, so that made sense. All of this to say that my engineering background is in database systems and distributed web services, but my leadership experience is in building markets. Markets for digital goods, for physical goods, for services. I'm considerably older than I look, thanks to all the Korean skincare, but I definitely feel older than I should, and that's a problem that I can't fix. Today's agenda, right? So I was actually thinking about this on my flight here. Like there's a sort of ready, set, go deck that all of us can use, and maybe you've seen some of them from like other teams as well. But I really didn't want to talk more about like, oh yeah, ZK is going faster. We have OP Kailua, which is better than the competition. We're going after roll-ups, for perfs getting better. Like that felt like a little bit cookie cutter. I think this audience, it would benefit from knowing a little bit more about the business of ZK, the customer perspective. I think it's very important to use these forums to shape the customer perspective. Sometimes I feel like people aren't even asking me the right questions. They're asking me questions based on what they read on Twitter. I want to help shape some of that stuff. Talk a little bit about Boundless, because ultimately I get a paycheck and I gotta do the right thing there. And then sort of like pivot into native rollups. Use native rollups as a customer and explain how Boundless works for them. And then really the key question that everyone keeps asking me, how do you build a sustainable business model around ZK? I definitely want to touch upon that if like time permits. So what is the business of ZK, right? So ZK is definitely one of the most transformative technologies that's sort of broken the ice in the last 3 to 4 years. It's been ongoing research for, I want to say 3 decades at least, and it's been in everybody's next order thinking for a while, but in the last 3 to 4 years, it's really start maturing. However, this is a tweet I sent out like a while back, calling out like what I think is the fundamental problem with how we don't progress, is that our entire industry is sort of run by researchers, and it's very visible. One of the reasons why I did talk a little bit about my background is I'm used to working at Amazon and Coinbase, where there's product managers and executives sort of like making decisions, making pragmatic decisions around how we continue to make progress. Whereas in our industry, what happens is researchers write roadmaps, consequences, taxonomy wars. What does an L2 mean? What does optimistic mean? What is a fraud proof? What is like, people just get stuck on like weird things versus actually making progress. And that is sort of stopping the business of ZK from moving forward at a pace that I want to see. ZK has been improving by leaps and bounds, but adoption has not kept pace with innovation. As someone who works in the industry, talking to customers, I can honestly say that my expectation is that there should be like hundreds of ZK apps out there. They're not. They're in the pipeline, but like it is definitely lagging behind. ZK is still perceived as novel tech, new tech. It's very visible in the articles that people write about it. Oh, here's this new thing. I'm like, well, it's not really new. It's been a while since doing on-chain computation has been more expensive than doing the computation in ZK off-chain and then just verifying it online. Performance actually has been tending towards real-time proving. I don't know how many people here attended all the other talks. People keep talking about real-time proving. It's happening. We feel like we are going to hit it in July. Like, that's not that far. It's this summer. Everyone thought it'll be like next year. It's this year. ZK has, in fact, arrived, but it's still perceived as novel tech. Why? Right? Because most of the discussion, in my opinion, is at the core tech level. Am I using this language? What is my proof system? It's a bit weird. A good sort of comparison for me is cars. When you walk into a car dealership, do you immediately ask, I would like a V6 engine? You kind of don't. What you talk about is your integration point as the end user. You talk about handling, you talk about mileage, how much MPG does it use, maintenance, support. Like, if you have any experience building and deploying services in the wild at scale, you know the most important thing that you should be thinking about is support and maintenance. Like, if your system keeps going down, what happens? If you pick up the phone, are you going to reach the founder? Because that's cool and all, but like what I really want is a support engineer helping me fix my stuff. People need to understand what it actually looks like to deploy ZK at scale and what that means. So let's try and change that up today. I'm going to talk a little bit more about customer perspectives and talk a little bit about the right questions that people should be asking when they think about ZK. And I'm going to focus on 4 questions because, time limit and stuff, but like, there are quite a lot of questions that you can consider that are specific to your use case. First question you should be asking is, does it actually solve a technological problem for me? I think it is very important that you ask yourself whether you're doing this for the vibe, right? Like, oh, do I get like, label 1 versus label X and like just tweet it? Because that won't really serve you that long, and your engineers will eventually quit when you make them use a service or a system they're not familiar with and they don't really need. What does ZK actually do? ZK helps scale computation. A single ZK proof can represent billions of gas worth of transactions. That's like 20, 30 blocks worth of computation in one proof. Is that something your application actually benefits from? Most applications do, is our guess, but it is a question that you should ask yourself in what context you want to use this. A good example of this is EigenLayer, who are trying to fit in 1.4, 1.5 billion gas worth of transaction in each ZK proof, something they simply can't do on ETH. And the other one is creating new product guarantees and creating trust with your users. Centralized but verified exchanges. It's kind of like the hot new thing right now, where instead of building actual DEX, what you actually build is Coinbase, a centralized exchange, but you verify the state transitions in your exchange and write the proofs to ETH or any L1 of your choice. What this does is avoids like an FTX style like collapse. It's a way to build trust in your system and like also to give your users a reason to trust you. So that's the first question you should be thinking about. How secure is it? People tend to jump into perf. Wrong. Start with security. You're handling people's money. You're handling people's trust. In a lot of cases, their livelihoods. It's not enough to start with perf. The first question you should be asking is, how secure is the ZK VM? And try and build some knowledge and a way to like think about security. Audits are not enough. If the answer to the question, how secure is ZK VM is, oh yeah, we did some audits, the answer is simply not enough. You should ask, who did the audits? Can I see the audits? Are the audits done by internal team members, which seems to be the case sometimes? What is your formal verification roadmap? Someone told me, well, formal verification is a PSYOP. I'm like, are you insane? Like, AWS does formal verification for every internal service. Otherwise, the military won't use it, the government won't use it. It's a mathematical technique to prove that your like, system is safe to use. You must ask them what their formal verification roadmap is. How do they actually protect against soundness bugs, which is the most critical thing with like ZK? Do they have a full stack ZK team, or have they outsourced bits of their stack to other teams and have taken a dependency? That too. No worries. The next question you should be asking is like, what is the background of the team? Do they have an InfoSec background? Do they even have a security team? Is it everybody in the team, or do they have like 2 or 3 people who are earmarked for security? This is important. The last thing to consider is TSC, Trusted Setup Ceremony. Everyone's like, you can verify on chain. I'm like, yeah, how? Like, you set up a verifier, so you did a trusted setup ceremony. How do you do it? Can I see the receipts? Was it just the 5 team members who participated in the trusted setup ceremony? Were there hundreds? You must ask these questions before you move on to like actually adopting a product. The next one is perf and cost. Perf and cost is sort of like interchangeable for me. It's either money or time, right? Like you either spend more money or you spend more time. One thing I'll call out just from personal experience is running ZK on a laptop is not the same as running ZK in production. It simply isn't. Yesterday I was in one of these like panels where we were talking, and Somebody who runs like a massive sort of cluster here was telling me, I want to train my engineers in ZK ops because I feel that it's the next big thing after ML ops. 100% valid. No one has ever asked me this question before. It is the secret sauce of actually running ZK. Running ZK in the cloud or running ZK in a data center is hard. AWS might be the gold standard for deploy and forget, kind of. But no matter how you try to sort of like deploy your ZK, you need the same kind of liveness, decentralization, censorship, resistance guarantees. And does the ZK product actually give you that? And then, of course, you should also be asking, is this the state of the art and will this sort of stay static? The answer should be no. Everything, in my opinion, is trending towards a 20x improvement across the board in latency, in perf, everything. If the answer that they give is like, no, this is pretty much it, or real-time proving is pretty much it, that is actually the wrong answer. You should be expecting more from your ZK product. And then the last question is, what does your product or your offering or this relationship look like in 6 months, in 12 months, and in 24 months? What are their moonshot initiatives? What is the next-gen proof system that they're working on? If they don't have any answer, it's the wrong answer. If it's all jargon jibber-jabber, it's the wrong answer. If their answer is, I'm actually waiting for this other team to build this other thing to like make my thing go faster, that's also the wrong answer. You must ask what is their GPU strategy, their FPGA strategy, their ASIC strategy, because all of these are in the pipeline. And then, of course, client-side proving. I think the gentleman from WorldCoin was before me. It is an important outcome that we have to move towards client-side proving. It completely breaks the client-server model and reshapes the internet. So if you don't have that in your roadmap, then you're possibly missing something. Currently, most ZK systems either support Rust or Noir. There might be a few more, but you probably need more language support. What does the DevX actually look like? Is it on the improvement curve, or have people decided this is like 1000x better than writing circuits, so we're done? That's also, in my opinion, the wrong answer. Just want to re-highlight the 4 questions here, but like moving forward to like native rollups and how we answer those questions with Boundless, right? Does Boundless solve a technology problem for native rollups? Yes, it does. It gives the lowest possible cost of proving at the lowest possible latency. 2 critical things for like something like a native rollup. We can build an off-chain price contract that meters stuff on Boundless such that you don't even go through like a bidding mechanism. You can immediately just like constantly prove your rollups as they are, as they roll on, I guess. How secure is Boundless? We invest something like 15 to 20% of our team's time in security because we know with our background that this is the most critical thing. The day someone gets wrecked because of a soundness bug in ZK, the entire industry moves back 2 years. We invested in PICUS and formal verification methods to make sure that there are no soundness bugs in our system. What does Boundless cost, right? Like it is basically designed around a reverse Dutch auction, which guarantees the lowest possible prices amongst like competing bids. And there is a consistent funnel of both demand from all different chains as well as innovation from like other ZK products. One interesting thing about Risc and Boundless is that whilst we invented the ZK VM and we invented this category of products, we understand that one team cannot out-innovate the entire industry. We are extremely focused on building a collective of different products that are supported by Boundless. What does Boundless look like in 6 months, 12 months, 24 months? With respect to native rollups, if people start streaming their blocks before it even gets confirmed for faster end-to-end proving, that's something we can support. It's an open platform for innovation, so like people can submit more improvements that are like focused on native rollups, build them out. And then with respect to BINIUS, binary field-based proof systems, which guarantee 25x, theoretically, 25x improvements in proving time, fabric-based ASICs and other ASICs that people are building are proving times, proving latencies, and costs are going to continue to go down. There are other questions for native rollups that people might want to ask, like what is proof of verifiable work, which is a very Boundless-specific thing to increase liveness guarantees as well as like improve the cost subsidies that we can provide on proving. What is our auction mechanism? I might have already mentioned this. It's reverse Dutch auctions, which guarantees lowest possible prices. How do I pay for my proofs? On Boundless, you pay for your proofs using your native token. No bridging. From a UX perspective, that's a win. You just pay for the proofs in your own token and get it done. How decentralized is Boundless? you are not trusting a single party from day one. That's something we wanted to include in our design. On day one, we'll be completely decentralized, not in some sort of debatable sense, but basically Risc 0 could go under on day one, Boundless will still continue. Of course, there's a bonus question here, when white paper? The answer is very, very soon, once the marketing guys get done with their stuff. The last thing, my last slide before I end my pitch here is, how does Boundless build a sustainable business model? It is something worth considering. Think about it. You want to use a product, and you don't know if this product will live on or not. You should understand a little bit about the business model of Boundless as well. We want to focus on customer integration points. We want to build things like Steel, which is our library for DeFi applications, whereby you can just take a smart contract and run it inside a ZK VM with one line of change. OP Kailua, which is focused on the OP stack and the roll-up industry. And we are building a few more that are targeted at different integration points. We don't want to tell you, hey, write this entire program in Rust and then integrate, but rather make it very, very easy for you to do that. DevX, that brings ZK to your chain and your application. We want Boundless to be accessible in every single chain, wherever you are, wherever your users are. Tokenomic design, again, the white paper is coming out pretty soon, that subsidizes proving and improves liveness guarantees. That's literally what tokenomics is supposed to do. It's not about carrying bags and all of that. It's about subsidizing something and improving liveness guarantees. Undeniable security improvements. We're going to keep going down the security rabbit hole as far as we can, and as much as resources allow us to do. There is no world in which Risc 0 and Boundless trades off vibe on crypto Twitter for security. We will keep going down the security hole. And the last thing is building a ZK collective. What that means is we want to make sure we find a way to integrate every single new innovation in ZK inside Boundless, not just Risc 0. I'll leave it at that. And yeah, prove fast and build bigger.